Consider this disloyal, Victoria said, her voice sharp as ice, fixing me with a glare from behind her imposing mahogany desk. The office felt colder than usual, the air heavy and suffocating as I sat across from her gripping my purse with both hands, my knuckles pale as I tried to still the tremor running through me. Being summoned to her office at exactly 9 a.m. on a Tuesday had initially felt strange, even ominous, but the shock had already worn off. What remained was a tight, sinking weight in my stomach as the meaning of this meeting became painfully clear. "Victoria, No," I started, instinctively trying to defend myself, but she cut me off without hesitation. Her perfectly manicured finger tapped sharply against a printed email on her desk, the sound precise and final. "Don't bother denying it. I have confirmation you interviewed with North Bay Solutions last Thursday. You took a half day for a dental appointment, I believe." The accusation landed like a slap. My name is Addison Walker. I'm 31 years old, and I have devoted 6 full years of my professional life to Harbor Point Communications in Spokane, Washington. 6 years of early mornings, late nights, missed vacations, and endless client calls. 6 years during which I tripled my client portfolio, generated millions in revenue, and earned the confidence of every major account we managed. Yet in this moment, none of that seemed to matter. Her next words were delivered with chilling efficiency. "Now, security will meet you at your desk. You can gather your personal belongings, but your building access is revoked immediately." There was no anger in her voice, no hesitation, not even satisfaction. She slid my company ID across the desk toward me, as if it were a used receipt. "I've already disabled your email access." The injustice flared hot in my chest, sharp and overwhelming. For 3 straight years, I had walked into this very office with carefully prepared presentations outlining my achievements, market comparisons, and undeniable proof that I deserved a raise. 3 years of hearing about tough budget cycles and temporary constraints, while Victoria proudly announced record profits at company-wide meetings. I inhaled slowly and stood, smoothing the front of my blazer, refusing to let my composure crack. "I understand," I said quietly. For a brief moment, Victoria looked almost disappointed, as though she'd expected tears, pleading, or anger. Instead, I reached out my hand across the desk. "I wish you and Harbor Point continued success," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. She hesitated before shaking my hand, confusion flickering across her face. The security guard hovered uncomfortably beside my desk as I packed 6 years of my life into a single cardboard box. Family photos, desk plants I had carefully kept alive through long winters, notebooks filled with ideas. My coworkers watched in uneasy silence, some offering sympathetic looks, others avoiding eye contact altogether. I smiled anyway, reassuring them, refusing to make a scene. No tears, no outbursts, just dignity. As I walked out through the glass doors for the final time, the April sunlight warmed my face, and something inside me loosened. Victoria believed she had punished me, stripped me of stability and power. She couldn't have been more wrong. I placed the box in my trunk, closed it gently, and that was when my phone buzzed. A message from David Kleen, CEO of North Bay Solutions. "Can we move our final discussion to today, 2 p.m.? I smiled despite myself. Victoria had no idea what she had just set in motion. It's strange how 6 years of your life can fit into a single cardboard box. As I drove home with it secured in my trunk, memories flooded in. I had joined Harbor Point fresh out of graduate school, ambitious and hopeful. Despite my marketing degree from Washington State University, I started at the bottom, fetching coffee and organizing meeting notes. I worked harder than anyone else, staying late, volunteering for the projects no one wanted, and patiently cultivating relationships with clients others found difficult. Within 2 years, I was managing mid-tier accounts. By my 4th year, I was entrusted with North Bay Solutions, the company's largest client, responsible for nearly 30% of Harbor Point's annual revenue. David Kleen had personally requested me after I stepped in to salvage the account during a critical failure by my predecessor. "You're the only one who seems to understand our needs before we even ask," he had told me. From that point on, the partnership flourished. North Bay extended their contract and doubled their marketing budget. Victoria praised the initiative publicly, though that praise never translated into fair compensation. Each request for a raise was met with polished regret and empty promises. Not this year. Next year will be better. We're tightening our belts. All while she drove a new luxury SUV and the company expanded its offices. The third denial 6 months earlier had finally broken something in me. I updated my resume that night, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. I never imagined she'd find out before I was ready to leave. At home, I set the cardboard box on my kitchen counter and stared at it, the reality finally sinking in. I wasn't between meetings or stepping out for the day. I was unemployed. The weight pressed down on my chest until my phone rang. Olivia. She already knew. Thomas had told her. Everyone knew. Her anger mirrored my own, voicing what I had been too stunned to say. Victoria was threatened. She was losing control, and firing me was her way of reasserting it. When David called moments later, his words were calm, reassuring, and decisive. "Are you available to come in today?" Sometimes these things work out for the best. After hanging up, I looked at my reflection in the kitchen window. I didn't see defeat staring back at me. I saw release. I showered, dressed in my best suit, and applied my makeup with deliberate care. The same suit I wore when pitching new clients, the same confidence. Victoria thought she punished me by firing me so abruptly, but perhaps unknowingly she had done me a favor. That morning had been humiliating, but it had also been clarifying. I had given Harbor Point my loyalty, creativity, and countless unpaid hours. Yet in return, I'd been undervalued and discarded. Whatever came next, I knew one thing. I would never again give my best to people who couldn't recognize my worth. It was time to step into my power. North Bay Solutions headquarters occupied the top 3 floors of a gleaming glass building in downtown Spokane. Unlike Harbor Point's dated office with beige walls and worn furniture, North Bay embraced modern design, open spaces, collaborative pods, and walls of windows framing mountain views. Riding the elevator to the 30th floor, I rehearsed what I would say in my meeting, explaining my sudden availability without sounding bitter. Professionalism would be key, even when discussing uncomfortable topics. The elevator doors opened to reveal David Clean himself waiting in the reception area. "Addison," he greeted warmly, extending his hand. "Thank you for coming on such short notice." David, in his early 50s, with salt and pepper hair, had a reputation for brilliance and fairness, qualities I'd come to respect over our 3 years working together. "I appreciate the flexibility," I replied, shaking his hand firmly. "It's been an unexpected day." "Let's talk in my office," he said, leading me through the bustling workspace. Several North Bay employees I knew waved or nodded as we passed. His corner office was modest compared to Victoria's showpiece, but far more welcoming, with comfortable seating arranged for conversation rather than intimidation. "Coffee?" he offered. Once we were settled with steaming mugs, he got straight to the point. "I received a call from Victoria Sanders this morning," he began. "She informed me that you would no longer be handling the North Bay account and that she would personally oversee our business until a replacement is assigned." I nodded, keeping my expression neutral despite a flare of anger. Of course, Victoria would try to retain their biggest client herself. "What she doesn't know," David continued, "is that we were already concerned about our relationship with Harbor Point." Concerned the latest campaign results had exceeded projections by 23%? "The results were excellent," he agreed, "because of your work, but we've noticed changes at Harbor Point over the past year. Delayed responses, quality issues with anyone except you, and frankly, a sense that they were taking our business for granted." He sat down his coffee mug and leaned forward. 3 months ago, our board suggested exploring other marketing partners. I resisted because of our relationship with you. You've consistently demonstrated an understanding of our brand and business needs that goes beyond the typical client-agency relationship. My mind raced. Was he really saying what I thought he was saying? When you reached out about potential opportunities here, David continued, it felt like perfect timing. But to be clear, we never planned to poach you. We respect professional boundaries too much for that. We were prepared to wait until you gave proper notice at Harbor Point. I was planning to give 2 weeks' notice, I said, feeling it was important he knew I intended to act professionally once I had a firm offer. David smiled. I believe you. Your professionalism is one reason we're having this conversation. Victoria's decision this morning simply accelerated our timeline. He opened a folder on his desk and slid a document toward me. This isn't an interview, Addison. It's a job offer. Director of Client Strategy. You'll be building and leading a team to manage all our external marketing partnerships and agency relationships. I glanced down at the paper, my breath catching at the salary figure. It was nearly double what I had been making at Harbor Point, far more than I would have even asked for in my most recent denied raise request. This is very generous, I managed. It's market rate for someone with your experience and proven results, David corrected. Sometimes it takes leaving a situation to realize what you're truly worth. That evening, the offer letter sat on my kitchen table, signed and ready to return the next day. I had asked David for the night to review everything, though we both knew my answer would be yes. Taking time to consider major decisions was a professional courtesy I extended, even when the choice seemed obvious. My phone had been buzzing all afternoon with texts from former colleagues at Harbor Point. Word of my firing had spread fast, followed by rumors about my meeting at North Bay. I responded to a few close coworkers, but avoided getting drawn into office gossip. A text from Thomas came through. Victoria called an emergency meeting after you left, told everyone you were terminated for breach of company loyalty, and reminded them that Harbor Point rewards loyalty above all. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. I shook my head. Victoria was trying to make an example of me, but from Thomas's message, her plan seemed to be backfiring. Another text arrived from Jessica, our receptionist. She's been locked in her office making calls all afternoon, looked stressed. Guess someone's worried about North Bay. I didn't respond. There was no satisfaction in Victoria's distress, only a renewed certainty that I had made the right choice to look elsewhere. A company that valued loyalty but offered nothing in return wasn't one I wanted to be part of anymore. My phone rang, an unknown number. Curious, I answered. Addison Walker? A woman's voice asked. This is Elaine Winters. I'm on the board at Harbor Point Communications. My stomach tightened. Board members rarely involve themselves in employee matters. I understand there was an incident today regarding your employment, she continued. I'd like to meet with you tomorrow to discuss it. Victoria may have been hasty in her decision. So that was it. Victoria had fired her most valuable account manager without board approval, and now North Bay was potentially walking. Damage control. I appreciate the call, Miss Winters, but I've already accepted another position, I said, keeping my tone respectful but firm. A pause. May I ask where? I shook my head internally. I don't think that would be appropriate to share at this time. Another longer pause. Addison, if this is about compensation, I'm sure we can revisit those conversations. The board values your contribution to Harbor Point. The irony was almost painful. 3 years of documented, rejected requests for proper compensation, and now suddenly the board valued my contribution. It's not just about compensation, I replied honestly. It's about respect and recognizing employee worth before they have 1 foot out the door. Perhaps we should discuss this in person, she pressed. Tomorrow morning, I thought about it. While I had no intention of returning to Harbor Point, there was something to be said for professional closure. I can meet at 9 a.m., I agreed, but to be clear, I've signed an employment contract elsewhere. I'm not coming to negotiate a return. Understood, Elaine said, though her tone suggested she didn't believe me. I'll see you tomorrow at our offices. After hanging up, I poured myself a glass of wine and stepped onto my apartment balcony. The spring evening was cool but pleasant, city lights beginning to twinkle as dusk settled. Tomorrow would bring a conversation I hadn't anticipated, but perhaps it was necessary, a chance to articulate what had gone wrong at Harbor Point, not just for my own closure, but as feedback that might benefit those who remained. My phone buzzed with an email from David Clean. Subject line, "Welcome to the team." Whatever happened tomorrow, I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't looking back. The Harbor Point reception area felt strange to enter as a visitor. Jessica's eyes widened when she saw me, her professional smile faltering. "Addison, you're here for the meeting with Miss Winters?" "That's right," I confirmed, signing the visitor's log. Another surreal moment. "I'll let her know you've arrived," she said, lowering her voice. "For what it's worth, everyone's talking about how wrong this was. You were the best of us." Her words warmed me. "Thank you, Jessica." The elevator ride to the conference room gave me a moment to center myself. I had dressed professionally in a navy suit, not to impress, but to remind myself and everyone else that I was entering this meeting as an equal, not a dismissed employee seeking redemption. Elaine Winters was already waiting for me when I arrived, a slim folder in front of her. In her 60s, with silver hair cut in a precise bob, she carried the poised confidence of someone accustomed to making million-dollar decisions before breakfast. "Miss Walker, thank you for coming," she said, standing to shake my hand. "Please have a seat." I had expected Victoria to join us, but as Elaine closed the door, it became clear this would be a private conversation. "I've reviewed your personnel file," Elaine began, opening the folder. 6 years of excellent performance reviews, consistent account growth, and 3 formal requests for salary adjustment, all denied. She looked up at me. I was not aware of this pattern. This surprised me. I had assumed compensation decisions were reviewed at the board level.
Major compensation changes, yes, but management has discretion within certain parameters. Her expression remained neutral, but her tone suggested disapproval. Victoria has been operating with significant autonomy. I see. What I don't see, she continued, is documentation justifying your termination yesterday. There is no company policy prohibiting interviews with other organizations. I kept my response measured. The word used was disloyal. Elaine's eyebrow arched slightly. An interesting choice, given the circumstances. She closed the folder. "Ms. Walker, I'll be direct. The board would like to offer you reinstatement with the adjusted compensation you requested in your last review, plus a 10% increase and the title of Senior Account Director. The offer was better than anything Victoria had considered, but it came 3 years and 1 humiliating dismissal too late. That's a generous offer, I acknowledged, but as I mentioned on the phone, I've already accepted a position elsewhere at North Bay Solutions," Elaine stated, not asking. I didn't confirm or deny sanctity, maintaining professional boundaries. "My new role begins Monday." Elaine studied me for a moment. "Victoria is concerned North Bay may reconsider their relationship with Harbor Point given your departure." And there it was. The real reason for this meeting, not concern for how I'd been treated, but fear of losing a major client. "That would be a question for North Bay," I replied carefully. "Indeed," Elaine nodded, seeming to appreciate my discretion. "One last question, if I may. What could Harbor Point have done differently to retain you?" The question was unexpected, but welcome. I paused to consider my response. "Recognize my value before I had to look elsewhere to find it," I said simply. "Loyalty works both ways, Miss Winters. Harbor Point expected unwavering commitment while repeatedly demonstrating I wasn't worth investing in. That creates an unsustainable imbalance." Elaine nodded thoughtfully. "A fair assessment." She stood, extending her hand. "Thank you for your candor. Whatever your next steps, I wish you success." Walking out of Harbor Point for the second and final time, I felt lighter than I had in years. This meeting wasn't about giving me a second chance. It was about reclaiming my narrative, leaving on my terms with dignity and professional reputation intact. I had been granted an unexpected gift: closure. Monday morning arrived with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. My new position at North Bay Solutions officially began, opening a fresh chapter in my professional life. I arrived early, eager to settle into my new office, a real office with a door and windows, not the cramped cubicle I had occupied at Harbor Point, despite my senior role. David had arranged everything in advance, from a welcome basket to my technology setup. At 9 a.m., he stopped by to introduce me to my new team, 5 talented marketing specialists who would work under my direction to manage North Bay's various agency relationships. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had gone from managing a single account to overseeing all marketing partnerships, including whoever would now handle the Harbor Point relationship. Team, this is Addison Walker, our new Director of Client Strategy, David announced. Many of you already know her from her exceptional work at Harbor Point Communications. We're fortunate to have her expertise in-house. After introductions and a brief team meeting to outline priorities, David asked me to join him in the conference room where several members of North Bay's executive team were gathered. Before you dive in completely, David explained, we wanted your input on an important decision. The company's CFO spoke up. In light of recent changes, we're re-evaluating our relationship with Harbor Point. Their contract is up for renewal next month. We value your perspective, added the CMO. You understand our needs and have first-hand knowledge of Harbor Point's capabilities. I could have easily recommended terminating the relationship, a swift, satisfying revenge against Victoria. The opportunity to deal a significant financial blow to Harbor Point was right in front of me. No one would question it. Business relationships ended all the time. But that wasn't who I was. Revenge might feel gratifying momentarily, but professionalism would serve me better in the long run. I think we should evaluate Harbor Point on the same criteria as any other potential partner, I said carefully. Their work has been strong, but consistency and account management will be critical factors moving forward. The email was sent at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, precisely 1 week after Victoria had fired me. I hadn't orchestrated the timing. It was simply when North Bay's executive team finalized their decision after reviewing proposals from 3 competing agencies. David had given me the courtesy of seeing the email before it went out, though I had recused myself from the final decision to avoid any appearance of bias. The message was professional and direct. After careful consideration of our marketing needs moving forward, North Bay Solutions has decided to transition our account to Meridian Creative effective immediately. This decision reflects our evolving brand strategy and digital requirements. Addison Walker, our new Director of Client Strategy, will oversee the transition and serve as your point of contact. We appreciate our partnership and request all materials be transferred by end of business Friday. I imagined Victoria's reaction, the shock, then the dawning realization. Not only had she lost me, but now she had lost North Bay, a client representing nearly 30% of Harbor Point's annual revenue, and I would be managing the transition. The perfect professional revenge had fallen into my lap without me having to orchestrate it. I hadn't needed to badmouth Harbor Point or sabotage the relationship. The company's own shortcomings, highlighted by my departure, had done that for me. That afternoon, I received a LinkedIn request from Jessica, Harbor Point's receptionist, followed by a private message. The office is chaos. Victoria's been in emergency meetings all day. 3 other account managers have updated their resumes. Karma works fast. I didn't reply immediately. There was no need to gloat or insert myself into Harbor Point's internal affairs. Instead, I focused on building my new team and establishing our processes. Success, after all, was the best revenge. Later, I accepted Jessica's connection request with a simple message. Thank you for your kindness during my time at Harbor Point. Wishing you all the best. Taking the high road felt surprisingly good. My new position at North Bay brought challenges and opportunities I would never have experienced had I remained at Harbor Point, waiting for recognition that might never come. Sometimes the best revenge isn't something you actively pursue, it's the natural consequence of valuing yourself when others don't. Looking back a year later, I realized that Victoria had inadvertently given me a precious gift, the push I needed to find my true worth. In seeking revenge, I had discovered something far more valuable: self-respect and the courage to claim the success I deserved.